It's like doing farm CrossFit. Hi, I'm Mike. This is Jess, and welcome to Goodwin's Farm 207.
Today, this vlog post, we're going to be talking about goat nutrition and what we feed our goats. We also have a hay delivery coming, and we're going to be showing you how and what we mix into our goat feed during the summer. So stick around. There'll be a lot of good stuff and hopefully informative in this video.
Yeah, follow along.
Yeah, so we've got some hay put in. One of the best things that we found as far as feeding your goats and making sure you're meeting all their nutritional needs is get a quality hay. Don't be shy to ask questions, and we were very fortunate. We found a very good high quality hay individual farmer who will actually deliver it right to our farm. So we're very grateful for that. And we've been buying hay from them for 3 years, and the goats love it, and it definitely makes a huge difference. So make sure you're not just buying the cheapest hay you can find. Quality is very important, because what you don't pay for quality, you're going to pay for care later on down the road.
Yeah, in our first year, we got hay from a couple of different places because we were struggling to find it. And the gentleman that we've been buying it from in bulk the last few years, the animals just love it. So as long as we can keep buying from him, we will.
Yes, absolutely. So next we're going to be showing you what we feed our goats in addition to hay. It's kind of our own little recipe that I came up with, and it is different for summer versus winter, dry weather versus wet weather. We'll explain all of that as we're mixing it, and we hope you find this helpful.
Yeah, it should be good.
All right, well, the first thing that we start out with is an empty grain barrel, and we have several different things that we actually mix into our goat grain. Today we're going to be mixing the feed for summer. This is for our girl goats. The boys really don't get a lot of grain other than just as a treat to get them to come in or to stand on the stand, as you saw last week when we're doing shots and things like that. But yeah, so this is what we're going to be doing today.
Yeah, lots of different things here on the cart, but we'll walk you through every ingredient as we go.
One of the first things that we actually will use is pumpkin seeds. We buy these in bulk. They have a natural deworming component to them, so we like to give them a lot of these. We also feed them a lot of raw pumpkin seeds, one from the garden when our pumpkins grow. Something else that we'll be adding to the feed today is of this black oil sunflower seed as well. Black oil sunflower seed has copper in it, which goats need a lot of copper. For our dairy goats that are either pregnant or in milk, we feed them this Blue Seal goat pellet with a little bit higher protein than the regular goat feed. For our goats that are not in milk or not pregnant, we will feed them, it's a 16 protein goat feed that we get from a local mill. And then we also mix in this is more for the boys feed, which does not include grain. It's just really beet pulp. Sometimes we put alfalfa pellets in it in the winter, and then in the summer we'll mix in black oil sunflower seeds and pumpkin seeds along with that. So kind of a lot of different mixtures today, but today we're going to do just our standard goat feed because that's what we're out of. All right, so today we're just going to be doing our standard goat feed for our goats that are not pregnant and not currently in milk. So we're just using a standard goat grain that we actually get from a local mill. It's 16% protein, and the first thing we're going to do is dump half of this bag into this barrel. My lovely assistant will do this for us. This is a luxury for me. Usually I'm doing this. That's fine. Okay, just set that down. And then next, we're going to dump half of a bag of sunflower seeds, which is I think that's a 40-pound bag.
Yep.
So, which, if you can actually get those pull tabs to work, please tell us your secret. It's a miracle.
First time that's happened.
That's good. A little bit more this one. That's good. And we'll dump in half of this bag of pumpkin seeds. And then half of that.
See, the goat's already started to help us open this one.
And then these are just beet shreds, beet pulp. And then you repeat the process.
Rest of it?
Yep. Again, if you were going to be mixing this for your bucks, I would just leave out the goat grain, maybe add in some alfalfa pellets if it's really wet, or if it's in the winter, you could add in some alfalfa pellets. Make sure you try and buy the goat alfalfa pellets because they're a little bit smaller and they're easier on their teeth than the horse size ones. So once you have everything in your grain barrel, we do not have a mixer like some people. They'll actually buy cement mixers to mix their grain. We do not have that because, as you know, we're kind of bare bones here and just starting out. Really been doing this only a few years and don't have all that big equipment yet. I mean, if you want to send us some, we'll gladly take it, but in the meantime, this is how we mix it. So this is how we do it without all the fancy equipment. Is one, make sure the cover's on nice and tight, which it is. Tip it on the side, and then roll it. Our ground is very uneven, so it naturally rocks it back and forth a little bit too, but if it's not, you can always do that. And then we just roll it around until it's mixed up. If you have kids,
This is a great job for them.
We usually have them rolling these around the yard.
And that's another reason for staggering the ingredients too, is that automatically helps mix it.
Okay. So after you roll it around for a few minutes, I like to open it up and see if it's mixed. This is definitely not mixed the way I'd like it to, so it'll be getting rolled around a little more.
This is like doing farm CrossFit.
So this is our summer mixture for our goats, and as you can see, there's all kinds of good stuff in here. You've got pumpkin seeds, you've got some locally sourced goat grain, you have some pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, and some beet pulp, and they love this. Goats love a variety of food. They need a variety of food to meet all their nutritional and mineral needs. So this is just one way that we try to be very preventative with our goats. The best way to treat a goat, honestly, is prevention, and a lot of that comes down to what you feed your goats. And along with this, we give them pasture. We rotate pastures for them, understanding if you have a small lot, maybe pasture rotation isn't something that you can do. In those instances, when we had less pasture area, we actually did what was called a dry lot, where basically it's a area that there isn't anything growing, so you just feed them hay and grain, and then we would leave them in there for a week and then rotate them to the pasture that we did have, so that we are making sure that we're being preventative for parasites and things like that. Something else that we always do is they get free choice minerals and baking soda all the time. They also get high quality hay, especially in the winter. They have hay available 24 hours a day, and then we'll actually give them a daily ration of grain based on their weight and things like that. All right, so we just get done mixing up some of the goat grain that we'll be using for the next few weeks. That batch that we just did will probably last us a little over a month because it's summertime and we don't actually give them a whole lot of grain in the summer. It's more just to get them to come in, or when we need to do hoof trimming or routine maintenance on them, then they will get a handful or so. In the winter, we do feed them a little bit more, rationed out based on their weight, if they're pregnant or not, if they're nursing or not, and also just their overall body health and how they look. If they're getting what I consider a little thin, I might increase it a little bit. If they're looking a little heavy, then obviously we're going to decrease it a little bit. One of the things that the big difference in the summer versus the winter is in the summer they're mainly just on pasture, and so we have quite a few different pastures now where we can rotate them. We find pasture rotations really important, whereas in the winter our goats do not like the snow. They do not like going out in the winter, so they mainly like to hang out inside their barn, and we give them a quality hay 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Make sure they have full access to that. Our goats also get loose minerals and baking soda 24/7 available to them, free choice. And yeah.
Yeah, we found that good nutrition is the best illness prevention.
Yes. I can't stress this enough, that the best way to treat your goats is prevention. That doesn't mean that you're never going to run into a case of parasite load or some other random thing. But we did find once we started paying a lot more attention and really educating ourselves, we talked to a lot of goat owners in our state that take more of a holistic, all natural approach to things. And I'll be totally honest, I was very, very skeptical at first. I was like, there's no way this is going to work without chemical dewormers and all of that. But once we switched to that approach, we have spent a lot less money on vet bills and medications and things like that. And it is a little bit more upfront cost when you start in the beginning, but long term, the last couple years, we've saved a lot of money. And it's been well over a year since we've actually had to deworm any of our goats with a commercial wormer. And a lot of that is pasture rotation, making sure that, you know, they're being rotated at least weekly, or if the pasture area is larger, once everything is below their knees, we rotate them, and we make sure we feed them a high quality feed, high quality hay, loose minerals, baking soda, and we use the Molly's Herbal dewormer. We do not sponsor them. We have no affiliation with them. It's just a product that we found actually really works well for us, is the Molly's brand. It's an herbal dewormer, and since we've been using it, we haven't had to treat our goats for any type of parasites.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And if you check them out, I'll try to put a link to her website in the description of this video. She sends you detailed instructions on how to use her program and how to use her products. There's 2 different formulas. There's a preventative, and then there's kind of a wormwood formula that packs a little bit more of a punch that you would use when you feel like your goats might need that, or I think it's like every other month you do a dose of that as well. What I did, because it seemed a little overwhelming, I'm like, oh man, there's this whole preventative schedule, a calendar. Most everybody has your farm binder, or your farm calendar, a farm app or something. I just put it on there, what days I need to do what, and everything's already pre-mixed for me, so I just add that into their daily grain ration or whatever.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to administer this versus needles and syringes and all that other stuff that you have to do with a chemical variant.
Yeah. One other thing to keep in mind, I know we kind of talked about it a little bit in the last video as well, is how you breed your goats. I get very attached to my goats. They are my family. They're my pets. Although they are part of the farm, they all have these amazing little personalities, and we hand feed a lot of our goats, even the ones that are dam raised. We hand feed them, so they're very tame, they're very loving, but you do have to consider their overall general health, their structure and their personality, as well as how resistant are they to worms. We have had goats in the past that they were just never healthy. And we made the decision that we were not going to breed those goats because that wasn't traits that we wanted passed on into our herd. So sometimes you do have to make those difficult decisions of, you know, what type of quality of life does this animal have, constantly being sick. This was before we found the herbal natural remedies, so maybe that would have made a difference, maybe not. Because, you know, when you're starting out, you kind of don't always know. One of the things you also want to think about is, you know, we talked about this a little bit at the last video, but the genetics of your goats. Starting out, a lot of us make the mistake that, hey, I want goats, so let's go to the auction and buy some goats, or here's some really cheap ones or free ones on Craigslist. So we bring home these goats and we're like, wow, this is great and this is wonderful, and we found out really what we got was someone else's problem that they didn't want to deal with. I definitely don't encourage people to sell their problem animals because it just perpetuates the issue, and you're taking advantage of newer goat owners, and that is something that we had to learn the hard way. And hopefully, you know, if you're watching this, you know, take a little bit of time and research where you're getting your goats from. Don't go just by how cute and adorable they are, or what color they are, or what pattern they have. You want healthy goats, healthy stock to begin with. You're going to save yourself a lot of time, a lot of money, and a lot of heartache by just buying a really good stock. Plus, then you're not contributing to poor breeding and poor farming practices. And that doesn't mean, everybody who does that intended to do it. Maybe they didn't. You don't know what you don't know. But I really recommend find out who the responsible breeders are in your area. Get references. Make sure your animals are coming from clean, tested herds, because there is nothing more heartbreaking than buying a bottle baby goat, raising it, hand feeding it, being completely attached to it, and then finding out it has some debilitating disease that the animal needs to be put down for. And that's a hard lesson that we learned, and it was a heartbreak that we experienced early on with our goat. And I hope by sharing this, it's something people can avoid. It does cost more up front to buy from clean, tested herds and responsible breeders, but it saves you so much in the long run. I really recommend that. I also recommend, if you do buy goats and you do plan on breeding them, make sure that you're breeding good genetics for the qualities that you want for your herd, whether it's parasite resistant. That's a big thing for us. We only want goats that are, show a high resistance to parasites. We want goats with good hoof health, because we don't want to be dealing with hoof rot all the time. And we want goats that have a kind, mild temperament, so that, we don't like mean animals, just like we don't like mean people on our farm.
Yeah.
So that's personality trait is really big for us as well. So just really consider what you want in your herd. And there's a lot to it. Don't be afraid to reach out, ask for help. Find a good goat mentor in your area. There's plenty of really, really good goat groups on Facebook too. I just can't stress it enough to do your homework.
Yeah, I mean, we've learned some lessons the hard way for sure, which is why we share that here and, let our mistakes be a learning opportunity for you.
Okay. Way to scare me, Remy.
I didn't know what that was.
Remy was digging a hole. That was slightly terrifying. Okay. Too many horror movies. Whew. They're playing.
So, from being an unexperienced person jumping into this whole farm life, as Jess was talking about, we like to have animals that are friendly and approachable and easy to handle. The best way to do that is to not be afraid of them, and, to be willing to get in there and just, I don't know, in my mind, I kind of treated them like a pet at first, just be calm and patient, and, they'll learn to at least tolerate you,
Yes. Treats always help too. Find out what motivates that animal. Definitely getting younger animals. It's kind of a trade-off, because if you get them younger, then you can handle them a lot and work with them. But then there's a lot of more upfront costs and responsibility and time commitment when you have younger animals versus buying an animal that's already established. So it's really, again, where you get your animals from. We've gotten animals that were older and they were not very well handled, so they didn't really work out that well for us. And then we've gotten animals that were older and they were very well handled and they were fantastic. So again, if it's possible, which sometimes it's not, I understand we all live in rural communities and sometimes it's not always possible to drive 3 states over to check out the animal, but and sometimes people aren't 100% honest with you. But that's why, if you can, I would recommend going and seeing the farm, seeing the animal, seeing how those people interact with their animals as much as you can. Or video calls are an option now that we never had years ago. So just again, it's what are your goals? What are your ambitions? What do you want to do with your farm? For us, it's a small family hobby farm is where we're at. So all of our animals need to be friendly. They need to be able to be handled. So that's really important to us. But maybe it's not important to everybody. But
Yeah, the animals we have are, as much of as part of our family as the pets we have in our house.
yes,
So we care for them and spend time with them because they are important to us, and not just because of what they yield for our family as far as providing food or eggs or whatever it is. It's because we care about them.
yeah. Even our meat birds or cows that we've raised to provide meat source for our family are still treated with care and love and attention, and they're handled and they're treated well.
Well, every animal should have a purpose, and there has been at least one cow that we got too attached to that we couldn't send to freezer farm. So we passed her on to another farmer because we couldn't bear to eat her.
Yeah, we actually were very fortunate to find some good home up in the northern part of our state that actually wanted them for part of their breeding program, and she was very well fitted for that because she was very, very friendly, very well handled, halter trained, leash trained. Like, she was
so
just
much personality with that one.
She was a very, very good animal for that. And sometimes that's, you luck out. You get an animal that you feel is going to be, a feeder cow, and you find out, oh, wow, this cow actually has some really amazing traits that would be something that maybe somebody wants in their herd.
Well, thank you for watching this video. We talked about a bunch of different things, but we hope you found it informative.
Yeah, so today's video, really was about what we feed our goats and, the high quality hay, how we mix our grain in the summer. Just a reminder, we do a little bit different formula mix in the winter, or if it's really, really wet, things like that. So if you found this helpful or, informative, entertaining, please hit the like button and subscribe. It does help us out. It helps support our farm, and is definitely an encouragement to us. If you have questions or comments, please post them below. If you have content you'd like us to make, then please suggest that in the comments below.
And we really do appreciate you watching, and we'll see you on the next video.